So, as of the recording of this video, yesterday was May the 4th. Many of you know that as Star Wars Day, right? So, as of today, Revenge the 5th, well, a bit of news came out about how a woman dressed as a stormtrooper on May the 4th was taken down, slammed to the ground by cops that were completely misusing their authority. Ridiculous stuff. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, this is a ridiculous case here. It's pretty dumb. Here's the tweet from somebody. Said, unbelievable. Just got a video of this. What the hell happened to common sense? Girl dressed up as a stormtrooper on May the 4th, facing 3 cops with weapons drawn. You can hear her sobbing. I used to dress up with the 501st. Probably not anymore. And as you can see, the officer himself has a shotgun telling her to get on the ground. And, the thing is, this case is pretty ridiculous. I respect the authorities. Don't get me wrong. They go through some pretty tough stuff sometimes. And then there are some, while you have your good cops, there are some that misuse their authority. So we're going to completely get into that. We're going to look at this article here. But what I'm going to say is, this makes you completely question where common sense is. It's like it was just thrown out the window for this type of situation. It's absolutely ridiculous. So looking at the article here. Star Wars Day promotion goes awry after LPS arrest employee in stormtrooper costume. May the 4th is widely known among fans of the sci-fi series as Star Wars Day, and thus a local business themed around the franchise wanted to put on a promotion to celebrate it. Coco Vanilla Galactic Cantina owner Bradley Whalen told LNN that it was very quickly went off the rails and put one of its employees in serious danger. We had music playing in the parking lot. We had one of our staff dress up as a stormtrooper, kind of waving to people, walking up and down the road. We had people stopping by, getting pictures with the stormtrooper. We got a couple of promotions on in the restaurant to entice people to come. The female employee arrived for work at 10 o'clock a.m. on Monday, May 4th, and went out in full costume around 20 minutes later. He believes that some members of the public must have seen her brandishing a plastic toy blaster, believing it was a real gun, and phoned police. Lethbridge Police Service, LPS, Inspector Jason Walper says they got 2 911 calls regarding a firearms complaint near the business on 13th Street North. At approximately 11:20 a.m., 3 police cruisers arrived and a truck followed shortly after. Now, this is where the story starts to get absolutely insane. So, here comes next. In the video, Whalen came outside after hearing the officers shouting at the employee. He can be heard telling the officers that the girl in the costume only had a toy gun. The officers tell Whalen to get back in his building. Police officers had guns drawn pointed at my employee. They were yelling at her to put her gun down, so she threw the plastic gun on the ground. At that point in time, when I came out, she was on her knees, kneeling down on the ground. The police had already checked and seen the gun was plastic, so they already knew that there wasn't an issue or risk there. See, this is the thing. They've already checked the weapon. Therefore, they know it's just a toy, but they continue to go further with this and abuse their power. See, this is abuse. This is not, within their authority at this point. They already knew that it was a toy weapon. So by this time, with them already knowing that, they had no reason to do what they did next, which was slam her to the ground because she actually couldn't, bend over because the suit wouldn't allow her to do so. But instead, they misused their authority and slammed her anyways, when she actually did get hurt. It actually scraped her nose. And that's not a way to treat somebody, especially when you know for a fact that they are not a threat, but yet go ahead and abuse that power anyways. That shouldn't happen. That's wrong. And these police, by this time, since they had already checked that this was a toy blaster, they already knew better. So that's on them. That's not right. And that is awful. The video shows that the girl did drop the gun to the ground when told to do so, so she cooperated. Walper offered a different account of the officer's initial encounter with the employee. At the time he spoke to media about the incident, he had not yet fully reviewed all of the details, but claims the person did not comply with the police verbal directions. Eventually, they did after multiple repeated orders given by the police officers. After she got on her knees, Walper adds that the officers then pushed the individual down to the ground and put her into handcuffs. See, this is the thing. I would not be surprised if she gets completely traumatized by something like this, because all she was doing was dressing up as a stormtrooper for Star Wars Day. Nothing wrong with that at all whatsoever. And you can clearly tell these people completely overreacted to the situation. I mean, like, it's pretty crazy. They could have at least seen, because, what a stormtrooper is. I mean, I'm very certain these people knew what a stormtrooper was. It's not that hard to know what a stormtrooper is. I mean, like, one person should definitely know, whether they're even a fan of Star Wars or not, they should know what a stormtrooper is. And you would think, given 3 officers, that should have already told at least one of them that probably might not have known already that this is a stormtrooper that's just a cosplay. But apparently they can't tell the difference. So apparently common sense is just completely thrown out the window. It's ridiculous. As a result of being pushed to the ground, the employee had a bloody nose. Neither Wayland nor Walper could confirm if she had suffered any other injuries. The employee could be heard crying out on the video, and there were bloodstains on the concrete. According to Wayland, it took an extra few moments for the employee to get down because of the costume itself. She kept yelling at them that she couldn't kneel down because in that stormtrooper costume, you can't even sit down in it. Like, it's impossible to sit down. She kept telling them that she couldn't get down, is what she explained to me after we walked to her. It wasn't a matter of her not wanting to cooperate, Wayland continued. She dropped the gun when they told her to and just forcing her, making her get down on the ground after they determined that she wasn't a risk and that the gun wasn't even a real gun. It was a plastic Star Wars blaster. Wayland claims that there was no effort on the part of the police to de-escalate the situation or speak to him or the employee calmly before taking action. Walper says he understands that the matter likely bottled down to a misunderstanding, but they have to take these types of calls for service seriously. But here's what I find ridiculous about this, because, the thing of it is that they clearly knew that this was a woman in a stormtrooper costume. There is no way, and I mean there is no way, they could not have known that this was somebody that was cosplaying for Star Wars. I mean, there's no way. It's absolutely ridiculous that they wouldn't. I mean, even if the person, or like one of the 3 cops, wasn't even a Star Wars fan, there's no way they couldn't have known what a stormtrooper was. I mean, Star Wars is very well known. I mean, yeah, Disney's run it to the ground, but the thing is, people still know what Star Wars is. And for 2 other cops to be there, you would have at least thought that one of them would have had enough sense to say, hey, this is somebody in a costume. Apparently not. We had multiple 911 calls stating that there was someone with a firearm. Anytime our officers are responding to something that's very spontaneous, where there's a weapon involved, our first responsibility is to ensure that we can create a safe environment for the officers, for the public, and the individual itself, says Walper. So certainly their first response is to deal with that weapon and remove the weapon from the person, take the person into custody, and then allow us to follow up with that investigation to determine exactly what occurred. Well, what occurred is you had police officers that were against their own authority after they had already checked that the weapon was literally just a toy blaster, and then they just slammed the girl to the ground regardless. Seriously, you knew. My God. Like, come on. These officers were totally against their authority. The employee was arrested and placed into a police vehicle, but was released at the scene. No charges against her were filed. Either way, Wayland believes that the officers should have handled the incident with common sense and self-control. Exactly, they probably terrified the woman. I mean, no doubt, they terrified her. She must be traumatized. She's got guns pointed at her because she came to work today to dress up as a stormtrooper to promote Star Wars Day, and she lasted an hour before she had guns pointed at her. I'm sitting here wondering, what are the police thinking about my business now? I mean, if I were him, I would file. I would file something against the police on that one because that's utterly ridiculous. There are even screenshots to this. Now, as you can tell, I don't know whether to say this store is, actually Disney store, but you can see Marvel and Star Wars right there on the sign, and then you look, there she is with the Stormtrooper outfit right there. Doesn't look like anything wrong. I mean, anybody would be able to tell that this is someone in a costume. And then, of course, you have what it looks like. And this probably also damaged the cosplay that she had, which is probably the other bad thing. Now, of course, to maybe tell that the weapon was not real, she could have probably had like an orange bit on the tip there of the gun. But, think of it is like, this probably broke the leg pads too. And then here's the blood from her nose that, whenever they slammed her down to the ground, they, scraped her nose. I mean, seriously, that is ridiculous over just wearing a costume. They knew better. I mean, seriously. These cops clearly could have handled the situation a lot better. I mean, rather than trying to point weapons at the woman and then, trying to just slam her onto the ground, they could have just been like, oh, well, that's a stormtrooper. Like, oh, okay, well, it's not threatening. And, by the time they could have at least even checked the weapon to be like, oh, well, it's a plastic toy. Okay. There was no reason for it to go this far. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, that's the other thing. How in the world did they not know that this was someone cosplaying as a stormtrooper from Star Wars? There's no way they couldn't have known that. Whether they are fans of Star Wars or not, there's still no way that they could not have known that. I think this is absolutely ridiculous, and it's an abuse of power. And, there are good cops out there that know their authority, and they know that the power they have, and they know not to misuse it. But these cops were stupid. They were completely just out of line here with this, and I think this is utterly absurd. And I think that they should press charges. From what I've heard, they have, but, I'm not 100% on that, but that's just what I've heard. But I mean, this situation is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and you can see this cop here, right here where the video is paused, you can see that the cop himself has a shotgun. I mean, that would terrify anybody. And then, to, grab her, throw her into the ground, like slam her to the ground the way they did. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, this was something that never should have happened. It just shouldn't have. These authorities could have definitely done things a lot better. It could have been so much easier. And instead, they were just way too aggressive with a situation that wasn't threatening at all to anybody. And they could clearly tell the weapon was a toy blaster. I don't know. I just think this is absolutely ridiculous. I think this was taken way too far. And, I think that pressing charges is the right thing to do in this situation because this is an abuse of power and it's absolutely ridiculous. And I hope that that woman is going to be all right. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and make sure you are still subscribed because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you are still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like, and also be sure to share it on social media, spread the word, and get it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. Not only that, but it will keep you up to date on when the newest videos will be released, as well as any other upcoming events in the near future. So be sure to follow me on Discord. The link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow can always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.